Hey! What are you doing?
Huh?
You should not leave your young child alone every day. I reported it. You're really the worst.
Late at night after overtime, my neighbor suddenly yelled at me. I had no idea what he was talking about. I don't have any children. My name is Anastasia, a 35-year-old nurse. I've been married to my husband, Maverick, for 2 years. We met at a mixer. He approached me aggressively and I ended up dating him because of his enthusiasm. He was very important to me and a really kind person. We started living together right after we started dating. He also took the initiative to do housework and even cooked for me. Since my job is irregular with night shifts, it's really helpful that he does the housework properly. I fell more and more in love with him as we dated. And about a year after we started dating, he proposed to me and we got married.
I might cause you a lot of trouble. But I want to be with Anastasia forever. Please marry me.
Of course. I want to be with Maverick forever too. And so we got married. I was very happy to be married to my beloved him. Since we were living together, our life didn't change much, but just being newlyweds made me feel excited every day.
Wow, it's really nice. Just having a ring on your left ring finger makes you feel really happy.
Thank you. But I'm actually happy, so maybe that's why I have that aura.
Wow, I need to get that aura.
Hey, what are you doing? The junior was making a gesture as if she was receiving a ritual, scooping the air with both hands. Her movement was so funny that I almost spit out the coffee I was drinking. This workplace is very peaceful, and although the work is busy, there are many good people, so I can continue to work here. And when I go home, I have a kind husband, so I am very happy. I'm home.
Oh, welcome back. Overtime again today?
Yeah, I got really busy right before I left.
I see. Thanks for your hard work. Dinner is ready, so warm it up and eat it.
Wow, thank you.
Today's chicken curry.
Yeah. I'll go wash my hands right away. My husband does the housework for me when I'm busy with work like this. When I'm tired and come home to a delicious meal, I can really do my best. I was very happy. And time flew by, and 2 years had passed since we got married. We were still a happy couple even after 2 years. One day, a new couple moved in next door to us in the apartment where we lived. They seemed to be a young couple and looked 7 or 8 years younger than me and my husband. They came to greet us on the day they moved in, and they seemed like a very nice couple. After that, I started greeting my neighbor when I went to work or took out the trash. I started chatting with his wife, and we built a good relationship. The couple next door was named Robinson, and the wife's name was Josephine. They seemed to be a working couple like us and were living in an apartment to build their own home. They seemed to be saving money, and they planned to have enough funds in a few years. I thought it was amazing that they had a vision even though they were young. A home of our own. I want to build one too, but I don't think I can save enough money. Actually, my husband works for a company with a pretty low salary, and although we both work, we are not rich. We were able to save a little bit, but if we let our guard down, we could easily go into the red. My husband seems to be working hard, but his salary doesn't seem to be going up. Even if he gets promoted, he won't make much because the company's salaries are low. But he doesn't plan to quit because the people he works with are good people. Well, I can understand that feeling. I can continue to work because the people I work with are kind. And now that I'm earning a lot, and my husband is doing his best with the housework, I have no complaints. I want to continue to live happily with my husband from now on. But in the midst of all this, something unexpected happened. It was one day when I was working late into the night because work was quite busy. And when I got home, it was just before the last train, and I arrived home exhausted. But when I tried to enter my house, I was suddenly called out.
Hey! What are you doing?
Huh? It was Mr. Robinson who lives next door who spoke to me in an angry tone. And it was the husband, not the wife. I rarely see him because our commuting times don't overlap. I've only met him once when he came to greet me when he moved in. I don't even know when he goes to work. What's going on?
Don't play dumb. It's about the child.
Child?
You're not leaving your young child alone every day. I reported it. You're really the worst.
Late at night after overtime, my neighbor suddenly yelled at me. I had no idea what he was talking about. But Mr. Robinson was really angry. I don't have any children.
What? That lie won't work. I've seen it with my own eyes. A young boy was sitting in front of your entrance.
Huh? In front of my house?
That's what I'm saying. That's a serious abuse.
Even if you say that, my husband and I don't have any children. So why do I have to be accused of something like this? Then the door of the next house opened and Josephine came out.
Hey, you're making too much noise. It's midnight, so lower your voice.
But...
It seems that her husband was a little calmer after being warned by Josephine.
Anastasia, do you really not have any children? I've seen a boy left outside before, so I was a little worried. I thought I shouldn't interfere with your family's affairs, but I've seen it many times, so I was a little worried. Even if it's for education, leaving someone outside like that is abuse.
But we don't have any children. Even though I explained it like that, the Robinsons looked at me with suspicion. What should I do? They don't believe me at all.
Anyway, don't do anything else to the child.
Mr. Robinson said that and then glared at me before returning home. What on earth is going on? When I got home, my husband was just taking a shower. I could hear the sound of water running. I wanted to talk to him about what happened earlier, but he was in the bath and probably couldn't hear me. Oh well.
Welcome back. You were late.
Yeah. I had to work overtime.
I see. Thanks for your hard work.
My husband was drying his hair with a towel. I decided to ask him about what happened earlier. Hey, so I got yelled at by our neighbor's husband with a really scary face.
What? Why?
I don't really know. He was angry and said something about not leaving our child alone.
Child.
My husband looked puzzled. Yeah, he said he saw a small child sitting in front of our house a few times.
Huh? What do you mean? We don't have any children.
Yes, that's why I don't understand. Our siblings don't have children yet either, so whose child was sitting in front of our house? It's kind of scary to think that a stranger's child had been sitting in front of our house for so long.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
My husband seemed to realize how scary the situation was and his face twitched. Moreover, we were suspected of child abuse by our neighbor. Why do we have to be misunderstood like this when we haven't done anything wrong? The next day, I had a day off, but the police and child welfare officials came to visit. Apparently, Mr. Robinson next door really did report us. I explained that we didn't have any children. At first, they were suspicious, but eventually the police and child welfare officials were convinced. The police came today.
Huh, really?
My husband was surprised that it had become such a big deal. Why do we have to go through this? I felt really bad. We were suspected of something we didn't do, and it made it difficult to live in this house. Recently, even when I encounter Josephine when I take out the trash in the morning, she only nods and doesn't talk to me. I was living day by day with a lot of frustration in this awkward situation. But then something happened. It was one day when I came home in the morning after working the night shift. Mr. Robinson and his wife came out of their house. I thought it was a bad time to run into them, but it seemed like they were waiting for me.
Good morning, Anastasia.
Good morning.
I'm sorry, did you work the night shift?
Yeah.
But there's something I want to tell you.
Huh? The two of them looked very serious. But there was no hostility in their atmosphere towards me. So I invited them into my house to hear them out. I led them to the living room and served them coffee, and the Robinsons apologized to me.
I'm really sorry.
Huh?
We've been suspecting you for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I guess that was the atmosphere. So why are you apologizing all of a sudden?
Actually, there was a boy in front of your house last night too.
Huh?
Just when I came back from work, I couldn't help but talk to the boy. I asked him if he was always being kicked out of this house. He said he comes to play with his mother at this house, but he's not allowed in.
Huh? What do you mean?
I didn't understand what he meant at first either. So I asked him if he lived with his mother and father in this house. Then he shook his head and said that he and his mother live in a different house. That's when I finally understood what he meant.
So. Josephine tried to avoid direct expression. But I already understood what she wanted to say. So, my husband is having an affair with a woman with a child and bringing him here, right? When I said that, Josephine nodded awkwardly.
I'm really sorry for saying such terrible things. I was just being half-hearted about justice and I ended up insulting you.
Her husband apologized again. Don't worry about it. I was a little surprised that the police were called, though.
I'm really sorry.
The Robinsons kept apologizing. But my attention had already shifted to my husband's affair. I'm sorry for causing trouble with my husband's selfish actions. I still can't believe it, but if the boy said so, it must be true. I have a request for you, Josephine. Is that okay? I came up with a certain strategy. It was to tell my husband a fake work schedule and rush in on him when he's with his mistress. I had my night shift reduced for the following month's work schedule. Then I told my husband that I had a night shift on a certain weekend. That day was actually a day off, and I was waiting at the Robinsons' house. In the afternoon, I went out and killed time at a cafe, and in the evening, when Josephine returned from work, I went to the Robinsons' house. Then at night, when I went outside, there was a really small boy in front of the entrance. It seems that my husband had brought a woman into the house.
Anastasia, good luck.
Okay, I'll go. With cheers from the Robinsons, I opened the door and entered the house. I could hear the voices of a man and woman having a vivid conversation from the living room. I held up my smartphone and rushed into the living room. What are you guys doing?
Oh my God!
Aw,
Why is Anastasia here?
Why do you think so? Why are you fooling around with a strange woman naked?
This is...
The child outside is that woman's child, right? When I told you that I was warned by the neighbor, you lied. Didn't you hear the conversation with the neighbor at that time? You must have known the content because it was a very loud voice. So you took a shower to pretend you didn't hear it? When you were listening to my story, you were acting because you knew the content. My husband was struck at the heart of the matter. He remained silent and hung his head. I can't believe it. Not only did you betray me and have an affair, but you also left a small child outside.
Well, what else could I do? I couldn't do it if there was a child.
I'm disgusted. You guys are worse than monkeys in heat. When I said that, the mistress glared at me.
shut up. it's the one who's being cheated on that's at fault. By the way, that child is Maverick's child.
Huh?
I got pregnant after you decided to get married. Well, I wasn't interested in getting married yet, and I was okay with it because I was getting child support.
Child support?
Oh, didn't you know? Maverick acknowledges that child, so he pays child support to me properly.
At that moment, everything made sense to me. You didn't have a low salary. You had less money left over because you were paying child support. My husband looked awkward. Really, you're the worst. I worked so hard for our married life.
I'm sorry. But I care about our married life too.
What? How much more are you going to make fun of me? We're getting a divorce.
Wait a minute. I don't want to get divorced.
Enough already.
But you're not home a lot because of your night shifts and stuff, so you're responsible too.
Don't blame me. You brought the woman home conveniently. And can you say that in front of your mother?
Huh?
Then the doorbell rang. And I let the person who came in the house. My parents-in-law. I had called them when I found out that my husband had brought his mistress home.
Maverick! What are you doing?
Mom and Dad? Why are you here?
We received a call. You're doing something that betrays Anastasia. You're a disgrace.
My husband was frightened by his parents' angry voices. The mistress was also trembling.
Anastasia, I'm sorry for my stupid son. I'll make sure he gets a divorce and pays you compensation.
I'm really sorry.
Wait a minute, Mom and Dad, what are you doing?
Shut up. You're going home with us to your parents' house right now. Don't embarrass Anastasia anymore in front of her.
Saying that, my parents-in-law forcibly pulled my husband away. And at the same time, child welfare and the police arrived.
This is the woman. She left a small boy outside several times.
It seems that the Robinsons had reported the mistress to the police and were pointing her out to the police when they arrived.
What's going on? Why do the police need me?
The mistress was taken to the police station. Seeing the mistress with a pale face, I felt a little relieved. With the help of my parents-in-law, I was able to divorce my husband without any problems. I also claimed compensation from my ex-husband and his mistress. It seems that the two had a relationship since the time when my ex-husband and I were dating, and they had met many times as friends in such relationships even after we got married. I was shocked that I had married such a terrible man. But I was glad that I was able to break up with him before I got pregnant. If the father was such a terrible man, the child who was born would have been pitiful. The boy who was sitting in front of my house was said to have been taken in by my parents-in-law and raised. The mistress will never be able to see the child again, and my ex-husband will not be able to return home because my parents-in-law have cut ties with him. It seems that my ex-husband's actions were discovered at work, and he was demoted with a pay cut. Since the president was a family man, my ex-husband's actions were definitely out of line. Since he had to pay child support and compensation in a low-paying job, my ex-husband was in a situation where he had to live a poor life. Of course, I decided to move. I didn't want to live in an apartment that had become a scene of adultery. Now I live alone in an apartment for singles and enjoy a comfortable life. I still have a good relationship with the Robinsons, and 2 years later, they built their own home and invited me to their house. Then they invited me to home parties, and I started dating a man I met there. He is Josephine's husband's boss, the same age as me, and we get along very well. He is said to be highly trusted by his subordinates, and he is a very kind and wonderful person. I don't know if we'll get married yet, but I enjoy dating him, and my private and work life are fulfilling, so I hope to continue this kind of life.
How was this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.